Is Argentina ready to leave behind its old habits and embrace a prosperous future? Welcome to Leadership Latam. Today we have a special session. Imagine that this country is a patient in therapy. It lies on the couch, looks at the ceiling, sighs, and asks itself, why do I always end up in crisis? Why, when I think I'm going to get ahead, something makes me go backwards? The therapist observes it carefully and asks, do you really want to change? Argentina, like a person constantly searching for answers, has gone through cycles of euphoria and frustration. Today, under Javier Milei's shock therapy, its doubts divided in two. Is this the treatment that will finally cure it, or will it fall back into its old habits? Let's analyze it together. First act, the diagnosis and the first changes. There are no good remedies. There are good diagnoses. Only when you know what the problem is, can you find the solution and start an appropriate treatment. But what is really happening to Argentina? Who can understand what is happening to him?
El corazón del problema, porque se hunde la Argentina, es la corporación política. Pero ellos tienen el monopolio de la violencia. Ellos no resignan sus privilegios. Con lo cual, si este juego no cambia, me temo que mis hijos envidiarán el bienestar de Somalia.
¿Así de dramático?
Me estoy quedando corto.
On November 19th, 2023, Argentina made a disruptive decision. It chose the diagnosis of Javier Milei, an outsider economist who promised surgery without anesthesia to heal the patient. His anti-political and anti-state speech resonated strongly with a population exhausted by corruption and stagnation. It was the equivalent of a patient who, fed up with so many relapses, says, let's do whatever is necessary, but enough with excuses. In just over a year, Javier Milei applied drastic measures, fiscal adjustment, cuts to public spending, and a total commitment to economic liberalization. The first symptoms show improvement. Inflation fell dramatically, a fiscal surplus was achieved, country risk fell, the level of poverty fell, and purchasing power began to increase very slowly, but economic activity has not taken off. As Milei said in 2018, the problem is the political class, and it seems that it was a good diagnosis. His government exposed the vices of a system of government that for years functioned more like a resource-looting machine than an engine of development. But here the patient's first crisis arises. Although the numbers improve, the pain of the treatment is real, and then doubts appear. Will I not be worse off with this method? Will it be too much? Haven't we been through this before? And it is that changing habits is always difficult. Second act, the patient's internal struggle. Argentina is divided, like a mind in conflict. On one hand, its rational part understands that it needs to change, work, spend less, save and attract investments. It is the side that says, if I want to get ahead, I have to trust, take risks, bet on the future. But there is a problem. The scars of the past weigh. There are traumatic episodes that are difficult to overcome. As Salvador Di Stefano will summarize it well, Argentine citizens were robbed of $47.5 billion.
A los argentinos le robaron 47.000 millones de dólares.
It is as if the patient had tried to change before and had been betrayed. Trust is broken, and without trust, there is no progress. In 2001, they shouted, "Let them all go." But guess what? All the politicians stayed and none of those involved were arrested for this million-dollar theft in plain sight of everyone. The vivid memory of that experience calls for a definitive change, but at the same time it is full of fear. On the other hand, there is the emotional memory of the patient, which remembers previous liberal processes and perceives them as similar, and then feels that it is heading towards the same thing. Argentina has many ghosts from its past that come back to haunt its decisions.
Pero quisiera destacar lo que yo considero son 12 puntos fundamentales a través de los cuales se puede medir la profundidad de la transformación que hemos llevado a cabo. En primer lugar, la libertad de precios, la eliminación de los controles de precios. En segundo término, la libertad de las transacciones cambiarias con la eliminación de los controles de cambio. Tercero, la libertad del comercio exterior, con la eliminación de los monopolios a la exportación, por ejemplo, de granos y de carnes. Cuarto, la libertad de exportación, a través de la eliminación de las prohibiciones y de los impuestos a las exportaciones. Quinto, la libertad de importar, con la eliminación de las prohibiciones, cuotas, licencias y en la aplicación de un programa arancelario de reducción gradual sobre un periodo de 5 años. Sexto, la libertad de las tasas de interés y la aplicación de la reforma financiera que abre el sector a la competencia interna y externa. Séptimo, la liberación de los alquileres y la eliminación del control que afectaba la posibilidad de la colaboración de la construcción privada para contribuir a eliminar la escasez de viviendas producida por esa misma causa. Octavo, la eliminación de las tarifas políticas de los servicios públicos. Noveno, la eliminación de los subsidios y las protecciones excesivas para ciertos sectores privilegiados de la economía que distorsionaban la misma. Décimo, la libertad de la contratación de los salarios sobre las bases de los salarios establecidos como mínimos por el Estado. 11. La libertad para las inversiones extranjeras bajo reglas justas y sanas, tanto para el interés nacional como para los inversores. Y 12. La libertad para la transferencia de tecnología en un marco que promueva y no obstaculice este movimiento fundamental para la modernización de nuestra economía de acuerdo a los más altos intereses nacionales.
Each point of similarity with its traumatic past, as with every patient in crisis, unleashes negative thoughts that are on the surface and make themselves present in various ways.
Pese a todo ese escenario favorable, las reservas del Banco Central siguen siendo negativas. Cuando uno te hago todo ese recorrido, uno dice, bueno, entonces acumularon muchísimos dólares. Ayer, en esa conversación con el compañero Majul, Caputo le dijo, compramos 19.000 millones de dólares. Lástima que no le hizo la repregunta de decir, bueno, pero ¿cuántos quedaron en el Banco Central?
Sí.
Porque no es solamente cuántos
claro,
compraste.
la que hace la cuenta entera.
Tiene que hacer la cuenta entera. ¿Cuál es el saldo? No es cuánto compraste, ¿cuál es el saldo? Y para hacerlo y no abrumar con los números, en todo el periodo de Milei, de 10 dólares que entraron, que compraron, ¿cuánto quedaron?
No sé.
1.
Ah, bueno.
Entonces,
pero por
porque tenés
uno.
que sacar lo del encaje del blanqueo,
sí.
Porque además tuvieron otro dato que se me pasó cuando yo lo mencioné, todos los elementos favorables vinculados con lo financiero, es el blanqueo, ¿no? Casi 23.000 millones de dólares. Impresionante.
O sea, se les están yendo un montón de dólares.
Exacto. En un buen momento.
En un momento donde tuvieron blanqueo, superávit energético y todo lo que vos ya dijiste.
Y un 50% de los dólares lo utilizaron para pagar la deuda, 20% de los dólares lo utilizaron para intervenir en el mercado.
Y
para
planchar el dólar.
Planchar y atrasar el dólar.
Sí, sí.
¿Por qué? Eso te lleva a que tarde o temprano, por ahí más tarde y no tan temprano, esto sea insustentable. Lo digo insustentable.
¿Cómo se expresaría en forma
explota.
That fear, so deeply ingrained, drives him to doubt the treatment he has started and to prefer the refuge of state subsidies and to maintain the benefits and tranquility of what is known without taking risks, even if this prevents him from growing. The defenders of the interventionist and welfare state always appear as voices that want to make him return to what he had decided to leave behind.
Ahora, en la situación en la que estamos, la motosierra es incompatible con todo esto. El ajuste, ¿qué creen? ¿Que no tiene consecuencias?
Por supuesto.
El ajuste más grande de la historia. ¿No tiene consecuencias sociales?
No, tiene consecuencias sociales.
No tiene consecuencias sociales, la pérdida de empleo, el cierre de industria.
Total.
Lo hemos visto toda esta temporada. Bueno, la gente veranea, pero llega así y después no gasta, no consume, se queda pocos días.
The internal struggle of the patient is tortuous. Doubts lurk at every moment. What if this new path leaves me with less than what I have? These are those who grew up with a protective state, which guaranteed employment and subsidies in all services. For them, this change is like leaving an old toxic relationship, painful, terrifying, but perhaps necessary. The vision of an open market, of seeking external investors and promoting a liberal economy generates in some a reaction of resistance and distrust in everything that is undertaken as a government plan.
El problema, insisto, es que Milei es presidente de la Argentina y que más allá de sus sentimientos, de la emoción que le puede provocar ser considerado que Donald Trump o Musk o Zuckerberg le dirijan la palabra, más allá de su emoción, el problema es que toma decisiones en función de esa emoción que nos involucra a todos y que va a entregar los recursos naturales que son de todos y que está destruyendo el tejido productivo de la Argentina, que es el país donde vivimos todos y donde muchos se están quedando sin laburo y donde muchos comercios se están quedando sin ventas. Es decir, las decisiones de Gruppi, de Javier Milei, de admirador de Javier Milei, nos están complicando la vida a todos.
The rational and emotional fight each other in a battle that has the entire country in a lack of definition that drives the outside observer to despair. They must believe, but as they fear that it will be more of the same, they then make individual decisions that sabotage the joint objectives. One of the keys to the government's economic plan is to achieve financial solvency by accumulating the largest amount of dollars in the reserve in order to be able to free itself from the exchange rate as soon as possible. But what happened in the summer of 2025?
Hice averiguaciones y también hice cálculos. Lamentablemente conviene más vacacionar en el exterior.
Argentina spent an estimated figure of more than $5.2 billion on vacations abroad, which distanced them from the intended objective of freeing the exchange rate. This instability and distrust is still alive and is understandable in light of history. One could say that it already shapes its personality, but it is also an obstacle to growth. Some signs of progress and recovery of confidence are being given. The same population that the bank stole from now brought back their savings with the money laundering proposal and declare their life savings by depositing them again. They should not look for tax havens abroad for their savings if they are capable of not generating a tax hell. Third act, the opportunity for a rebirth. So, what does Argentina want? To continue in eternal therapy, reviewing its traumas without changing, or to finally take the leap? Some voices, as if they were from their own conscience, repeat a phrase that everyone knows to be true.
Pero el dinero alcanza cuando nadie roba. Alguien puede decir entonces, ¿por qué están pidiendo financiamiento? Pues por todo lo que se robaron en los últimos 30 años. Pues claro, el dinero alcanza cuando nadie roba, pero ellos ya se lo robaron. El dinero alcanza cuando nadie roba. ¿Se imaginan todo lo que pudiéramos hacer con todo el dinero robado?
Argentina has everything to recover: natural resources, human talent, and a privileged geographical position. We have already seen all this in detail in other videos on our channel. But here is the key: the world is full of war conflicts, political crises, and natural disasters. Argentina, on the other hand, is a country at peace, full of natural resources, with opportunities to export, attract investments, and stabilize its economy. International relations have improved substantially, and the world looks at President Milei with diverse opinions, but with great certainty. He will respect the commitments, and the Argentine state will not be the enemy of whoever comes to invest. The question is no longer just, what does Argentina want, but will it take advantage of this historic opportunity, or will it sabotage itself again? Jorge Luis Batlle Ibáñez, a former president of Uruguay from 2000 to 2005, knew how to tell an uncomfortable truth in those years that continues to resonate, even though he said it more than 23 years ago.
Es la tragedia de los argentinos. Los argentinos se pasan diciendo a ver quién es el culpable de no ayudarnos. Y no se dan cuenta que tienen que ayudarse a sí mismos.
The therapist closes his notebook and, looking at his patient, says, "You have all the potential, but whether the change can be realized will depend only on you and what you finally decide to do." Argentina should leave behind the fears and partisan ideologies that only suit those who live off it and concentrate on a winning attitude to grow and improve the quality of life of its entire population. And now the question goes to you: is Argentina finally going to improve, or will it relapse? We want to hear about them in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more analysis like this. Until next time.